Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. The Honorable my teacher, Sarbeni Wijaya, and also all of my beloved friends. Okay, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Riccardo Nesta. I'm from 4BA class. In this occasion, I'd like to deliver a journal article that I have found last time. It's about the implementation of discovery learning models in enhancing speech script writing skills for students. And this journal article was written by Sarimana, Pigyati Indra Dewi, Ray Effendi, Suhendra, Muhammad Nurul, and Suharto, and they are from Pakuan University. This journal article has volume number 13 and number issue number 2. Publication year of this journal article is in May 2019. Okay, we're going to the next slide. It's about introduction. First, we will discuss about this. A writing skill becomes one of the essential skills for students. Writing skills allow students to improve speaking skills that are useful for clarifying and facilitating communication. Okay, next, the researchers intend to use the Discover Learning model to improve students' ability to write a text with a learning model. And next, learning is also defined as information processing. This process can be analogous to the thinking process of our human's brain that acts like a computer with the input and storage of information in it. The thing that is done by the brain is how to regain the information material in the form of pictures and writing. Thus, in learning, someone needs to be involved in reflection and the use of memory to track what must be absorbed, stored in memory, and how to access information. It's based on Brown, Glass, and Holia in 2016. Based on the description, the learning model can be defined as a concept that contains a process of how to give a thought or idea to students. The process of transferring thoughts and ideas has a particular reference according to the learning model used. Educators can choose the learning model that will be applied. However, the learning model used must be appropriate to apply. Okay, next. Discovery learning is a teaching model that regulates teaching in such a way that the child acquires knowledge that he does not yet know or not fast through notification, partially or entirely found on his or her own. So that's the definition of discovery learning. Okay, now we go to the next slide. It's still about interaction. Okay, first, the role of educators in discovery learning model is a guide. Here they must be good learning facilitator with a new concept to student in unfinished form. Educators intentionally manipulate this in order to direct students to think independently. However, educators must still provide direction when students organize the new concept. This is to remain in accordance with the learning objectives. Although in the discovery learning, student must think independently and learn independently, but here the educators must give a direction to them. Okay, next, the problem statement of this research. The problem statement of this research is educator gives an opportunity to students to identify as many problems as possible that are relevant to the subject's matter. Then one of them is chosen and formulated in the form of a hypothesis, or in other words, we can say it as a temporary answer to the problem question. And in this situation, there are 3 stages. The first stage is the data collection stage. In this stage, students perform experiments or exploration. Students gather relevant information to prove the correctness of the hypothesis. Data can be obtained through reading literature, observing objects, interviews, and even trials. Data obtained is then taken to the second stage, the data processing stage, where students processing data to be interpreted. Then the verification becomes a follow-up of data that has been processed. At this stage, students also examine the result of data processing to prove the correctness or failure of a predeter- predetermined predetermined hypothesis, a link to the result of data processing. Finally, students should carry on to the last stage. It is generalization, or in other words, drawing conclusion. At this stage, students draw conclusions that can be used as general principle and applied to all events or problems with regard to the result of verification. Okay, next. In some schools, students are not able in mastering writing skill, such as writing speech text. Uh, well, so the researchers get this information about this condition is from one of the educators at Titranusa Bogor Middle Schools. The constraint in writing learning is caused by the difficulty of the participant in making a text because of the lack of reading that has an impact on the amount of information and vocabulary that is known. In addition, it makes students cannot develop independent writings. This condition is also caused by a learning strategy that is not appropriate to apply, less guided learning, and low writing motivation. Therefore, to improve language skills such as writing skill, teachers have to use certain learning model and learning process such as the model of this research discovery learning model. Okay, next it's still about introduction. So here there are several advantages in discovery learning model. First, supporting learners' active participation in learning process. Second, fostering learners' curiosity. Third, enabling the development of lifelong learning skills from learners. Fourth, making the learning experience more personal. Fifth, making learners highly motivated because it gives them the opportunity to experiment and find something for themselves. Sixth, building knowledge based on the initial knowledge that the learner already has so that they can have a deeper understanding. Seventh, developing self-reliance and autonomy in learners. And last, making learners accountable for mistakes and the result they make during the learning process. Well, overall learning using discovery learning models improves student reasoning and the ability to think freely. Specifically, learning discovery turns students' cognitive skills to find and solve problems without the help of others, so that this model is very suitable to be used to improve student writing skill independently. There needs to be an effort for students to write a text. Students must be able to find information and ideas in order to be able to write text, especially speech text. Based on the research conducted by Solvany 2016, it shows that there is a relationship between the implementation of the discovery learning model on students' writing skills. Therefore, researchers intend to solve this problem through research by conducting discovery learning in improving speech text writing skill in class 9 student of Islamic School number 2, Kalafunggal, Sukabumi Regency. Research focuses on the effectiveness of the discovery learning model and the obstacles experienced by students in writing speech text. Okay, next. Now we are arrived in method of this journal article. Well, the research is conducted using the experimental method. This is a research method that is used to find the effect of certain treatments on others in controlled conditions. The procedure referred to this research is the application of discovery learning model by Druckmann and Ebner 2018. The treatment model for improving speech text writing skill is the student of class 9 at Kalafanunggal Islamic Boarding School number 2. Okay, next, it's still about method. Well, the population of this research is the class 9 students of Islamic boarding school number 2 of Kalafanunggal, Sukabumi Regency, with 40 people spread in class A, class 9A, 20 people, and class 9B, 20 people. Based on this amount, the researchers conduct a purposive sampling technique because of the limitation of participants. The relatively small number of population in this research makes the researchers have decided that the whole students in the class become the overall research sample. Next, well, it's still about method. Well, the data collection technique used are: first, using the pretest and post-test form. The post-test is conducted to measure student ability to write speech text. When conducting research, researchers take improved data on writing speech text skills through two tests, namely pre-test and post-test. Second, using the questionnaires in this research to assess the extent of students' responses in learning to write speech text with discovery learning models. And the third, using observation. The purpose of the observation in this research is to measure the process and the result of the teaching and learning of students in the classroom. It's based on Hidayat, Safani, and Abidin in 1994. Okay, next we arrive in result and discussion. Well, as you can see here, there are 4 pictures of the result and discussion. Okay, first picture, picture 1, pretest result in experimental class. The average score of pretest, our knowledge and skill, has amounted to 53.5, which still refers to the low level. The highest is 68 and the lowest is 44. The results are caused by students not being able to explain the meaning of speech text. They are combining the terms of the opening greetings and closing in general with the contents and closing parts. The linguistic characteristic of students who don't understand the learning. And when completing speech text, students don't have information that is directly related to the theme of speech. The message conveyed in the content of speech text is only the fundamental one. It also has an impact on the use of limited vocabulary, inappropriate or incorrect writing vocabulary, and spelling that doesn't match the placement, and also the differences in nouns, verb, adjectives, assignment, verb, pills, synonyms, and antonyms. Okay, now figure 2, post-test result in experimental class. The post-test average score is 84.3 with the level of affordability, and the highest is 92 and the lowest is 74. The increased post-test score is influenced by learning that has been done using discovery learning models. The researchers provide illustrated image to strengthen the students' understanding so that they can explain the concept of understanding speech text. The score of post-test writing skill in experimental class speech text has increased. Based on the conducted research, it is found that discovery learning can improve students' writing skills, and it's based on Cahyani and Yulindaria 2018, and also Sobari and Husnusalam 2019. When compiling a speech text, students have begun to pay attention to things that must be raised in the introduction, contents, and closing sections. Students process the result of the information to be explicitly when written in the contents of the speech text from the article. Besides that, students' skill lack in the use of effective sentences, vocabulary, and spelling that are still incorrectly written. Figure 3, pretest result in control class. The average score of pretest is 51.4 at low level. The highest is 64 and the lowest is 42. The low pretest results are caused by students not being able to explain the meaning of speech text following the concept of speech from experiment in daily life, both in school and the community. It means that the ability of students in control and experimental class before given intervention is equal. The term opening and closing greetings are called the same as the opening and closing part. As per the linguistic characteristic of the speech text, there is still a lack of understanding of students in distinguishing several vocabulary words such as noun, verb, adjectives, and assignments, but field synonyms and antonyms. When conveying speech text, students don't have information that is directly related to the theme of the speech. The message conveyed in the content of the speech text is only a fundamental one. It also has an impact on the use of limited vocabulary, inappropriate or incorrect writing of vocabulary, the the appropriate spelling of the placement. Okay, next, page for post-test result in control class. Figure 4 shows that the first score of free test is 75.2 with a level of ability. The highest is 86 and the lowest is 56. There are several indicators that cause post-test scores to increase. The definition of speech text can be explained precisely based on examples in school activities such as flag ceremonies and Independence Days. The opening greeting section is the opening or family part, while the closing greeting becomes part of the conclusion and closing. As for the linguistic characteristics of speech text, students can be able to distinguish several vocabularies with word classes and differences in the meaning of words. However, when conveying speech text, it's still difficult to process information to be developed into full idea, even though there is already information read and discussed. Based on the result of this data, two hypotheses are proposed to prove the truth. The result is the application of the Discovery learning model effectively improves speech text writing skill. Besides that, there are obstacles in writing speech text through the application of Discovery learning models. And next, finally, we arrive in the conclusion. Well, here there is three things that can be a conclusion of this journal article. First is the application of learning models can improve the speech writing skill marked by changes in student score, and we can see in the result before. The second is based on the result of the calculation of man coupled with the t-test formula of the experimental class and control class. It is known that t-con is greater than t-table or t-con significant because the score of t-table less than 2.56 and more than 2.42. And the third is that students still experience problems writing text speech through the application of discovery learning models. Okay everyone, so that's all about my presentation. I'm so sorry if I have made mistake when I am delivering my presentation, and thank you for your attention and for this change. When you have a question to ask me, just ask it, just send it in LMS or directly to personal chat, or you can say you can send it in our group WhatsApp. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.